Okay, let's start by looking at the various properties and options available within the Traffic Manager profiles. I'll click on it and open and start looking at the options right here. Now, under settings, you got configuration, real user measurements, traffic view, endpoints, properties, logs, and automation script. What you will have already noticed by now is the DNS name. Now this is the DNS name that we should be using in order to access the applications behind the training app Traffic Manager profile. Under configuration, you can see the routing method that you have selected. In this case, since I have selected geographic, it is pointing as geographic, but you can change it to later anything, a later point in time. As you scroll down, you've got several other options, and the Traffic Manager actually checks the health of your endpoints on timely basis. When we say health, we can define what the health according to the application is. In this case, by default, it picks up port number 80, and then the Traffic Manager polls the web applications on port number 80 on constant basis. What is a constant value? Well, you can come here and define it so that every 30 seconds, go ahead and probe my web apps. And tolerated number of failures is 3. So if the Traffic Manager cannot reach the web app after three times, then it will change the routing to the second web app. The probe timeout is set to 10. That means that after 10 seconds, if there is no response from the endpoint, it just times out and goes for the second retry. Real-time measurements is an interesting feature that we have in Azure. It will help you identify the latency between the endpoint and the users. So you gotta create a key and then embed this key in your application. With the help of this, the Traffic Manager can tell you the latency between the user and the application. Traffic view is about getting the real-time information about the user and their accessibility from the web app perspective. So when the user tries to access an application from North America region, you will see the latency that the user gets, and this will be purely from the user's perspective. A heat map is generated here, and then you will be able to download that. Usually it takes about 24 hours from the time the queries have been received to the Traffic Manager. In the endpoint section, you have to add the endpoints. Endpoints in this case are web apps. I'll go ahead and add the endpoints for my Azure, although you got other options as well: Azure endpoint, external endpoint, or a nested endpoint. I'll go for an Azure endpoint, but if you got infrastructure on-premise, you will choose external endpoint, or could be any external web-based application hosted in a different cloud or with a service provider can also be written here. So I will point Azure endpoint because my web applications are in Azure, and the app service that I want to choose is one of them, replication 1. This will be my first endpoint. Give it a name like endpoint 1. Now since it's geographical based routing and replication 1 is located in Southeast Asia, I believe, so this will go ahead and I want the traffic generated from Asia to go ahead and hit replication 1. I can also specify a specific country from where the traffic is originated from, but that's fine. I'll leave it here. Otherwise, if you want, you can opt to choose one of these countries in Asia. But my objective is to ensure that any traffic that is originated from Asia goes and hits replication 1. I'll click OK. Once this is done, I will add a secondary endpoint as well. And there I will say any traffic that is originated from North America lands up in an app service, which is my second one. This one is located in central US. It goes there. Let's name it as endpoint 2. And you can specify a specific country as well if you like. Okay, North America, and so say okay. So any traffic that is originated from Asia goes and connects to endpoint 1. Any traffic originated from North America goes and hits endpoint 2. So endpoint 1 is my web app in Asia, and endpoint 2 is my web app in Central America. That's how it is configured. Rest of the options are similar for like properties, locks, and automation scripts remains the same for each of those. So here you can see the metadata of your traffic manager that we just created. So you get the resource ID, resource group, subscription, subscription ID. Locks is to lock your traffic manager so nobody can delete this accidentally, or you can put a read access only to this traffic manager. Automation script creates a template, a JSON templates for it. So if you ever have to redeploy this entire traffic manager profiles, you do not have to do through GUI.